Well, welcome back to Daily Mass. Oh, you're saying, welcome back to yourself, Father. Since I've been gone, we've switched from the Gospel of Matthew to the Gospel of Luke. We got through much of the Gospel of Matthew as of last week, and then Monday we started through Luke, and we started in chapter 4, where he went to Nazareth and was rejected by his own, and then how he drove out a demon, and the next thing we see is he's healing Simon's mother-in-law. And then I'm wondering if Simon is a little bit upset that Jesus is now getting into his boat because he healed his mother-in-law. I'm not sure about that. But so here's this beautiful story about how he uses the gifts of Simon. He uses the gifts of Simon to be able to preach to the crowd. He says, "Can I use your boat?" So that he's not being crowded on, and also so that the voice will carry out over the waters. I'm sure he's not too far out, but just enough to be able to have some space and preaching. And then Simon, after seeing him heal his mother-in-law, after hearing him preach, Jesus says to him, "Go out into the deep. Let down your nets for a catch." And it's just like, "Master, we worked hard all night and have caught nothing, and you don't catch fish here and now out in the deeps and in the morning. It's just not the way you do it. But at your word, as Bishop Sheen says, I'll lower a net, a singular net." But then what happens? This great number of fish, and it's too much. He has to call over some others to help. And in this encounter with Jesus, Simon recognizes his own sinfulness. "Depart from me, Lord, for I'm a sinful man." He has this encounter with Jesus, and he recognizes what's going on deep inside of him. Now, as I was pondering over the course of my vacation, walking the beach and all these things, I had a lot of time away, thanks be to God, away from the screens and other, emails and other things like that. A lot of distractions were gone, and just pondering my own sinfulness. That a lot of times we don't want to look at our brokenness. It's too hard to deal with. It's too hard to deal with. And I was thinking about St. John Paul II said, Jesus is the answer to the question that is every human life. The problem is, as we get distracted, we stop asking that question. And to have an answer to a question that's not asked is not going to be helpful. I'm thinking about, if you've ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to the ultimate question of the life and the universe and everything is 42. But then they have to go and figure out, what's the question? What's the question? And throughout the series, they're trying to figure out what that is. I'm not suggesting you go out and read it. It's not that incredibly great a book series. But if we don't have the question, the answer is not going to speak to our hearts. And so in order for us to, the Lord has made his salvation known, we heard in the psalm today, right? We all said it over and over and over again. The Lord has made his salvation known. In order for us to know what that salvation means, in order for us to accept that good news, we have to know the bad news. Because without the bad news, the good news makes no sense. If we're not face to face with our own brokenness, with our own sinfulness, the salvation of Jesus makes no sense. Just like, oh, that's nice. Good that he did that for us. Instead of saying, this changes everything. This changes everything. Simon Peter came face to face with this, and he says, "Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." He came face to face with his own brokenness, his sinfulness, his weakness. And you know that sin is that thing that separates us from God. And we all know it happens in our lives. We all know there are those things that we don't want to do, that we know we shouldn't do, that we hate to do, and we do it anyway. But here's the good news. How does Jesus respond to him? Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. And Jesus says, do not be afraid. I want you. I choose you, knowing full well your sinfulness, knowing full well your brokenness. I still choose you and want to use you for my glory, for my kingdom. What does he say now? From now on, you will be catching men. And I heard someone did a doctoral thesis on this, and the word there for catching men is actually a military word that could be translated better. From now on, you will be going behind enemy lines to bring back your captive brothers and sisters. Doesn't that sound a little more powerful than you'll be catching men? Oh, that's nice. We'll go fishing, put out a line and bring it. No, you will be going behind enemy lines to be bringing back those who are imprisoned, those who are captured. And Jesus chooses Simon to do this, a man who is a sinner. I was just listening to, this is becoming a weekend-length homily, I apologize. I haven't talked to you for so long, I just have so much to say. Just listening to, I forget if it was a podcast or what it was, but they were talking about the Habsburgs? I forget what it is. One of the royal families in Europe, when the person in that family dies, they will go to this monastery where he's going to be buried, and they have this ritual. They'll knock on the door, and the abbot will come and say, "Who is it?" And the person there will say all the things about the titles of this person, the king of such and such, and duke of this, and emperor of this, and whatever, that whole thing, and says, "I don't know who you are, go away." And then he'll knock a second time, and he'll say, "Who is it?" And they'll do all the things, not that were inherited, but what he earned, all the titles and honors that he earned throughout his life. And, "I don't know who that is, go away." And then the third time they'll knock, and he'll say, "Who is it?" And they'll say, "It is so-and-so, a sinner." It says, "Oh, come in, my son." And that's us. God says, we say, "Depart from me, Lord, for I'm a sinful man." We look at our brokenness, our sinfulness. We don't even want to be with ourselves. The Lord says, "Do not be afraid. I want you. I choose you."